What if one simple change could transform not only just your health, but your entire family's well being? In today's episode, I'm sitting down with an incredible woman named Lisa, who has walked through the struggles of PCOS, gut issues, and the challenges of supporting loved ones with IBS and autism. Although she still has her gallbladder, her and her family were heading down a road where she could see that maybe things weren't working out the way she wanted. Her story is raw, real, and full of hope. You'll be amazed at how one powerful shift brought balance, healing, and peace to her home, and how it might just do the same for yours. As you listen, you'll see just how much more effective and lasting healing can be when you understand and apply all 7 principles of wellness. Because when the body, mind, and spirit work together, true transformation begins. If you have not already listened to my episodes with Sue Becker, go ahead and pause and go back to episodes 29 and 30, where we talk about the benefits for all those, especially those without a gallbladder, for using fresh milled whole wheat. All right, let's get down to it and hear her story.
Gallbladder gone. Now what? Let's heal from the inside out.
Welcome to Gallbladder Gone? Now what? The podcast for Christian women navigating life after gallbladder removal. Hosted by Jami, holistic nutritionist, wife, boy mum, grandma, and a firm believer in God's design for lasting health. Did you know that over 1.2 million Americans have their gallbladders removed every year, and that the majority of them are women? Even more eye-opening is that all gallbladder issues are digestive issues, and poor digestion is at the root of up to 80% of all disease, including hormone imbalances and weight struggles. While Jami isn't a doctor, and this podcast isn't medical advice, she shares real solutions rooted in research, experience, and God's Word. Let's get practical, biblical, and real, one step at a time.
Well, today I have Lisa with me, and thank you so much for letting me interview you. So let's just jump right in. What class of mine did you end up taking?
I took your freshly milled whole grain bread class. Is that
Okay. Yeah, you did. Freshly, that's right. It's a mouthful. Freshly milled whole grains. And so what brought you to the class?
Well, a couple things. I accidentally ordered kamut berries or grains instead of the flour. And so I ended up with this like 50-pound bag of berries that I had no idea what to do with. And so I texted in our little group chat if anybody knew what to do with these. And you mentioned that you had a bread making class. I was like, well, this is perfect because it did in line with some results I got from the doctors that encouraged me to even buy the grains or the flour. And so I was like, well, this is great. I stink at making bread. I can learn to make bread. I can figure out what to do with these berries and hopefully get help along the way.
Yeah, the timing worked out perfectly.
It was so good.
It was so good. Yeah. I was so excited for you because I was like, oh, I know what to do with those berries. and I didn't want you to go out and get flour, right? And so as you've learned. So before taking my class, what other things, so you've had some health problems. Let's just talk about some of your health problems. And then like what you were doing before to try to resolve some of these.
So my major thing was PCOS and a lot of my symptoms, but saying this now and learning what I've learned in your class and then continuing that, there's some changes and perspectives that I'm wondering if it is linked to PCOS or if it's linked to my gut health and that regard. But before the class, I had been diagnosed with PCOS for years. And it just kept getting worse. The symptoms, I told you earlier that I could grow a 5 o'clock shadow on
Mhm.
my
Yeah.
facial hair is a huge problem, was a huge problem. Anxiety, like uh irregular periods, like, is it going to happen this month? It's not. I would go, 3 to 4 months without a period. And then when I do have a period, or when I did, I just couldn't leave the house because I was just bleeding too much. Sorry, anybody
No,
listening, if
this is why my clientele usually I'm always like, no, we talk about periods, we talk about bowel movements, we talk about all the things. And we should, and that's one of the things I really work on with people is taking the shame out of it. Because if
okay,
we are embarrassed, then we don't ask questions
yeah.
and we don't get the help we need. Can you
So, and
go ahead?
of course, like the weight gain was always like around my midsection. And I just always, I mean, before your class, I just kind of accepted that this was my life, because they say, in regards to exercise, people, especially PCOS, if you work too hard, you're going to release more cortisol than regular people, and so then it's going to start storing more. But if you don't exercise, then it's going to it was just the same result either way. So I was
Yeah.
like, well, that's because I used to run half marathons and everything like that. And
Mhm.
it's because even with those, I didn't really lose weight, but I felt better.
Mhm.
But as I've gotten older and the symptoms seem to have gotten more severe, it just, I don't know. The doctors, oh, and insulin resistant is a huge thing. I have always been in the pre-diabetic numbers, no matter what I've done. So some of the things the doctors have recommended is a hysterectomy to help with my periods, and the pain that is associated with that. They've recommended laser treatments for my face, but then they say, because it's hormonal, it probably is never going to go away. We can fight in it. They've put me on, they've tried metformin. They've tried, I forget what it's only, I'll have to find out the name. I'm sorry, guys.
Sure.
Essentially, you just take it for 3 months and it speeds up your metabolism, but that's like the max you can take it because it's so strenuous on your heart. And I didn't feel comfortable doing that. I lost a lot of weight in that first couple weeks, but it was because it was making me so sick. And so I stopped taking that. And the metformin was the same thing. I was like, I just don't like the idea that this is where I'm at, but
Yeah.
I guess nothing else I can do. Um, the most recent one was Victoza, and that's a shot that is essentially for diabetics or pre-diabetics, and it just helps level out your blood sugar levels
Mhm.
and the weight loss. And so my doctor was like, well, it's a 2-in-1 special. We can get your blood sugar under control and you'll probably lose some weight. So I did lose weight, like 20 to 30 pounds, really, really fast. But I was only eating like 300 to 500 calories a day. And that was just because it completely suppressed my appetite and I just didn't eat. So I wasn't feeling great physically, but I liked the results. But then once I started eating again, and because um my body got used to the medicine, and
Mhm.
so once I started eating again, not like overeating, but just eating, my
Yeah.
body weight right back. And so I was like, well, this is just my life. This is and I came to accept it because I was I just thought, well, exercise isn't helping, eating isn't helping. And so I don't know what else to
And you've
do.
gone to the doctor several times and taken all the suggestions, and it's just not helping at that point.
And so that's where I was at the point before your class.
Okay, and then let's talk a little bit about also your hub and your son. So what
Okay.
was going on with them before the class?
Um, So my son is autistic and he's high functioning, but he does have food aversion and sensory overload. So the foods that he will eat are essentially good things, but it's very it's just not a lot of options. But he will eat bread every single day. Like we go through, well, it's different now. So I'm talking as before this class.
Absolutely. Yeah. Before this class.
We would go through, 3 to 5 loaves of bread every week because that's Judge toast is what he usually can handle. Pancakes, all of that stuff is just part of it. And then he would have his apples and carrots and chicken nuggets and French fries. And for a long time, our weekly trip to McDonald's or Wendy's all growing up was what we were so desperate to do because that was chicken nuggets and French fries was the only thing we could get him to eat at one point. Otherwise, he would be throwing up. And so that's gotten a lot better, but it's still on those days where, or, a matter of 3 to 4 days where I've noticed he hasn't really been eating anything. It's like, okay, let's go to some Wendy's or McDonald's because we got an air fryer, which is fantastic, but the texture is not the same. And so that's a work in progress, but he's doing really good. So before this class, we were going 3 to 4, 5 loaves a week with just him alone. And so it was just this constant, like, oh, I have to go to the store again to get bread. And it just is a pain. Like, I know everybody, moms have to go grocery shopping multiple times a week, but it was just like this panic of like, what do we do if we don't have bread? Like, that was our main concern.
Yeah.
And so that's my son. And then my husband has IBS, and it is triggered by stress. I've noticed too.
Yeah.
So we're on his stress situations, but he, he's just always struggled with IBS, and that's just something that he again accepted and thought, we've done scopes, we've done, all of that stuff, and this is just, it runs in the family, which I understand, but I've always set out like, okay, is what I'm feeding my family helping or hurting them? Yeah. And that's a lot of pressure.
It is a lot of pressure. We have a lot of responsibility as moms, right?
That's stressful. But you just try your best. But I thought I was doing my best.
Well, you were doing your best with the knowledge you had.
Right. With the knowledge I had, I fully believed like I am doing everything I can. But until I met her,
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that. So you came to the class, and what are just some of the things that how about let's talk about some of the things you knew kind of coming in, and then, but maybe what you're like, I never even thought of it that way.
So a little bit more backstory, and I think is where the Lord has softened my heart. I grew up with my mom, and I know she was just trying her best. I'm not putting her down. And I know that she was struggling with her own things, but there was a very strict standard in our family of how much we should weigh and what size. And if we went above that anyway, fear kicked in with my mom for whatever reason, and we would immediately be put on a diet. Mm-hmm. And so, at 10 years old, I was joining Weight Watchers and going to those meetings. And I'm not gonna cry, but that really scarred me. I had no idea what was healthy. I didn't know what was correct in eating wise. I knew the word of wisdom, which I choose to follow. But growing up, one day, sugar was just absolutely bad. You can't have sugar at all. Otherwise, you're just fat. And And so that was a constant worry. And then just like, am I eating enough vegetables? Am I eating enough fruit? Did I eat too much grain? Carbs, like a big no a lot of the time. So growing up until adulthood, and it's been still a struggle. I just didn't know what was the right thing to do for my body. I was constantly just yo-yoing, and and then having children to get postpartum body back. It was just this added stress, and and there was personal things where my family, weight was just a huge thing, and it was pointed out or suggested of, hey, maybe you should, what do you think about this? Or maybe you should walk around the block after you have that piece of cake. Or, so in my mind, it's just screwed. I don't know any other way. It's just my perspective on things, and it's still something I have to work on every day. So food became a punishment and not a source of pleasure.
Or
It
nourishment.
was,
Yeah.
or yeah, that's right. Like I ate vegetables as a punishment of, like, you had a piece of cake today, so you have to have your vegetables.
Yeah, you have to double up on those, double down. Yeah.
You have to go walk miles now in order to, and so I know that mind frame really screwed things up. And luckily my mom's gotten help since then, but she does recognize, like, I'm so sorry, because each of us siblings have dealt with some sort of eating disorder or multiple disorders. And so coming into your class, I was finally ready to hear what food could do for me health wise. I was ready to accept that food can heal me, because my mom is very holistic now. But everything that she would try and teach me about whole grains or fermented food or anything, I would just blow it off and be like, Mom, I cannot be on your diet train again, because that see it as a lifestyle for her. I saw it as another diet, and I wanted to stay really far away from that, because I didn't know what truth really was when it came to her advice. Especially with the holistic thing, because, well, growing up, we were medicine of any sort was horrible. Like, you just evil, like, just pray a bit harder, and everything. And there was a time in my life where I needed help after having my baby. And so the only thing that helped me during that time was medicine that I'm still currently on, but we'll get to that.
Get to that. Yeah. So you had and I wanted to interview you especially because you have what a lot of women are going through, chronic health conditions, and also these ideas around food that either our parents or the culture or something has taught us that food is either good or bad. And the good stuff is for punishment and the bad stuff is for pleasure. And I for me, when I teach history, science, and sacred text. So it has to fall with each three of those because there's so much information out there that is, this is so good. Now it's the devil. Now it's like what do I even eat? And so I had to go back to what God created, right? And then go a little bit farther, not just what he created, but when and how it was designed to be eaten.
Right.
And that makes a difference.
One of the biggest points that still, it was like life changing. It switched my mind, because diets can be expensive, and everything that society brings in to help you lose weight. I was like, oh, maybe if I just get a tummy tuck, then it'll look better, or all of that stuff. And so I don't think I know the Lord knew that I was not ready to hear anything that you had to say, or my mom had to say, or whoever else was available to help me until I was actually listen to the promptings that I would receive and accept them. Because for a while for a long time, and this is really hard for me to admit because it probably is partial result of weight gain, is I wanted to prove that you didn't need to be on a diet, that you could have sweets and not get diabetes, and that PCOS isn't something that is, I don't know, that you can just live with it without consequences. Essentially, I wanted to prove that you did not need to follow or restrict yourself from anything, which I fully believe still, but my perspective is completely different in that regard. And so I finally was able to listen when I saw the Lord working in my life to helping me get to you and your class, because I remember getting my results back the week before your class started, and I had my liver levels were high, which they never had been before. I was still pre-diabetic with the Victoza that I was taking. And so that was really upsetting to me, because I was like, I'm taking this medicine that has these risks involved, but I thought the risks or the
Benefits
risk
outweigh risk.
risks, because I was like, well, at least it's helping my pancreas function. But I was like, nothing's working. And I just remember being so mad of just like, I don't understand. Like, I'm trying and I'm doing what I thought was right, but now I'm getting even sicker, and that was really scary to me. And so the bag of wheat showed up and the grains, and you had invited me to your class, and I had no idea going in there the information that I would learn. I was going in there because I had 50 pounds of kamut that
You needed to learn how to use some way.
and my family has always given me a hard time about my baking skills, because I could not make bread to save the life of me. And so I wanted to learn how to make bread, and I was like, I need to figure out. And honestly, I ordered kamut flour because I heard the benefits of it for your blood sugars, and the protein is higher. And so that was like, oh, well, I would love to learn how to make bread with kamut flour. And so yeah, we arrived, that's where we're at. I arrived at your class. That was my mind frame of life.
Yeah, so you were maybe coming for more skills related, but you got the information as well.
Yeah, going in that I did not start your class to change my health at all. It was strictly, I have kamut.
So what was your thoughts after that first class? What did you go home?
Cloud nine. I had an experience with the spirit that told me that this is where I was needed. And if I listened and applied it to my life, that it would bless my life and my family. And there was a sense of excitement and hope. That was the biggest thing, is hope, because I had missed your first class because it already started. But
a series of 4, and you came in on the 3rd. Okay. Or on the second, essentially. Yeah.
And I got so excited because you had 4 things that you were going to debunk in that class. And 2 of them were my biggest concerns of weight and blood sugar levels. And so when I saw that and thought, is it really that simple to just start here, start making bread? And I mean, I'm like goosebumps right now. And I thought, I can do this, because I get overwhelmed with information sometimes, and then I don't know what to do with it. So the Lord was really kind to say, start here. I lined it up for you. So let's start here. And it's it's changed my life.
Well, good. Okay, so and I remember after the first class you attended, I started getting pictures of the things you were baking. Which
Yes.
I totally loved, like, because that's my goal with people is I love to give information, but if it's not practical and usable, then it's just that, it's just information. And
Right.
so, and
Well,
so
I rubbed it in my siblings' faces like that.
look what I did.
And the
Yeah,
fire alarm didn't go off, so I'm good.
and
Like,
your family enjoyed it, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Good.
That's what we've been doing. I did go a week with, and it was funny because so my grinder broke. I just bought a cheap one because that's all, and it was horrible. I did not realize how bad it was until my mom came to visit, and she's like, "That's not flour. Like that's really
That's meal. That's
eating it." Like, oh my gosh, I got really sad because I saw all the little things left over. Like, I was like, that's my nutrients, like right there, not being used if I don't sift it. And so yeah. So then it broke. And so we had to go buy bread. And I was like, what was my life before this? Like, even though I wasn't doing it for very long, it seemed so weird that week not to do it. And surprisingly, I didn't realize how much it helped my mental health because I felt productive. I felt like I am providing nutrients to my family, to my body, and all of that stuff. And so I was like, I was going crazy. I just was like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. But luckily, my mom, she saw how important it was. So she actually gave me her wheat grinder. And she's like, really, it's for me because now your dad's going to buy me a new one. So
I love it. She's just upgrading.
I'm like a real adult wheat grinder that is fantastic. So,
Yeah,
um,
it makes a difference. It makes a huge difference. Yeah.
I,
And making food for me that is healthy and nutritious, like it not only feels good, but like you said, you feel productive, like you're doing a good thing.
and I felt like fulfilling my role as a homemaker. Like, and it was nice to just change from the cleaning and laundry and then making. I mean, I make the meals but not from scratch, and so it was just it was a completely different feeling of just like, oh my gosh, I made this, it's delicious, and we're all just happy.
Yeah. I get that. So, okay, before we talk about your results,
Yeah.
after, what is one or two things that you really took home from the class that you were like, "Oh my gosh, I did not know this," or it was a lie, or whatever that you maybe had believed before that you learned that wasn't true?
Like everything.
Every-
I appreciated learning that freshly milled whole grain bread can actually stabilize your blood sugars and help lower them. I don't know if everybody's results are different, but that was something that I was really excited to challenge and to see. Another thing is, and I'm sorry, I should have looked at my notes that I took, but just learning about the berry grain itself, like how much power and nutrients is in just one little grain.
Yeah.
And just one thing that I've always in the back of my mind that always stressed me out with diets before is just how expensive they are.
Mhm.
I'm like, we don't have the money to go out and buy organic everything.
Goji
And
berries from the Himalaya mountains.
right,
Like,
but and that stressed me out because I'm like, how can I take care of my family the right way and then most nutritious way if it is so expensive? So, I mean, we do the best we can, and an organic something on sale, great, we're gonna get it. But honestly, like we just do what we can afford. But you said something that I remember after it was during your class while the muffins were baking or something like that, where I texted my mom what you had said. And you had mentioned that God created everything for us, and that the most, uh, sorry, I don't remember it word for word, so I'm just
Okay.
going to how I interpreted it.
Okay.
The most abundance of things that's available to us are the cheapest, most affordable things, which are grain and fruits and vegetables.
Mhm.
And I never thought about it that way. I was like, duh, that makes sense now. Like,
Yeah.
became my food group. It became my food pyramid of like, okay, first I'll start off with the most affordable in abundance, which is the grain, and then the fruits and vegetables. And then you mentioned, and then I thought, well, chicken and meat and everything is a little bit more expensive. So we probably shouldn't be having that as much. And along with dairy and, so for me, I created my own food table or pyramid of what to have in, and beans. That was another thing of like legumes and everything like that.
Yeah.
That's what is most available to everybody.
Yeah.
And there's an abundance of it. And it clicked. I was like, oh, duh. Like, I don't know.
But it
Like,
is strange when that clicks. I remember years and years and years ago when I was first starting and going through school and stuff, like they would have you get these expensive things that you had to get special ordered, and I kept going, God, this doesn't make sense to me. Like, why would you give healthy food, like one of the things was goji berries at the time. It was like this huge thing. But it's in China. Like,
yeah,
why? But if
that's what
you want
taught to
if you
us.
yeah, if you want your health us to be healthy, why wouldn't you give us something here? And and then I read this article about wild blueberries in the North America being as healthy, if not healthier for us
Yeah.
than another country. And so you're like, wait, so that's their wild berry. This is our wild berry. So then I
Right.
started going, okay, what is it? And I love how I've just seen the pattern of God is that he'll give us exactly what we need where we are. And
Yeah.
even as I've dived deeper into becoming an herbalist, it's like the herbs that surround us in the desert are very different than the herbs that surrounded me when I lived in Iowa. And they serve a different purpose. Like the ones in the desert are cooling and they're moisturizing and they're mineralizing and they're alkalizing, all these things, right? Not that they aren't over there, but over there they could be a little bit more drying because maybe people have like coughs that stick. And so I'm always just like, love that God does that and that throughout history, it's been the poppers diet is the best, the beans and rice. And it's when we start to get into that really heavy stuff that it's hard for our bodies to digest. And I tell people it's not never to have it. It's just when are you going to have it? Right. So it's not that we can't have chocolate cake, but let's just not have it every day,
Right.
or have it in an you can also like do different things, right? Like you can make it from fresh whole milled grains, and that will
Right.
help at least stabilize some of the blood sugar. So there's things that we can do to make it better. And I really just think that God, he wants us to be healthy. He wants us to, and it shouldn't be expensive.
Yeah. And then and the other thing that you said, that you're like, the world is trying to take Christ out of everything. So why wouldn't they try and take it out of bread and food? Which is completely true, because in society now, like carbs are just like
The
off
devil.
limit.
Right?
And I just thought, well, yeah, like that makes complete sense, because even the word of wisdom that I follow, like one of the things is that he asks us to do is eat grains and berries and meats
Herbs
very.
and fields. Yep.
And I was like, it is right in front of me. Like, I don't know. And with PCOS, and probably a lot of people that maybe have this that are listening, you have to have protein every meal to help stabilize your sugar. And so it was so stressful of like, I don't want to eat meat every single meal. I don't want chicken all the time. I don't, it was just like, but I have to because my blood sugars, and so it became stressful to plan meals of like switching it up, not getting bored of things, and just like buying the meals itself, the ingredients, especially with how high prices are right now.
Yeah.
It was so stressful to be like, okay, well, my body's sick in some way. I have to eat this way, but I can't afford it all the time.
Yeah.
So it became so stressful to think, before your class, I was like, all I have is beans to make chili. And that would stress me out because I'm like, I don't have any ground beef to put it in because I need my protein, and so I didn't realize that I had things right in front of me to help me all along that were, another thing is too, making sure that my family likes what I eat on that. But, it's just been interesting to see the perspective change and also the willingness to change and to try new things, because that was completely blocked off, for a really, really long time. And so being willing to, and I look at myself because you did press points here and there about the body and what it does and how incredible it is. And I have always just hated my body. I've always just wished it was better in some way. I wish that I looked better or looked like somebody else. I was always mad at it that it didn't bounce back like other people's do, apparently, and that I do have scars from childbirth, and that I'm actually human.
Yeah.
So that has been a really great thing to start loving myself again and appreciating it. Yes, it's struggling, but my body is doing its very best it can with what I'm giving it. And I needed to start thanking it that, more. And so that has changed
Yeah.
my life.
I feel that because for the longest time when I was dealing with my chronic health issues, it was my body's betraying me. Why doesn't it just do what it's supposed to do? And then when I realized like, oh, it's actually trying to build a mall out of, toothpicks and
Right. Yeah.
sticks. And I need to give it what it needed. And then it suddenly starts to like, oh, now I can do the jobs that I needed to do.
Right. Yeah, it just made sense. And so I was telling my mom, and of course she's on cloud nine because I'm actually, she's like, everything I've been trying to tell you, you're actually, and I was like, I know, I just needed to hear it from someone else. Like, or I just wasn't ready. It was like all of the above. But now I start talking to my body. I start thanking it. And, with my liver levels, and they're not high, but they're like, they are not where I want them to be. And so I just started like, I'm so sorry, liver. I'm going to try so much better to try to take care of you. Thank you for everything you're doing. I know it's hard, and I know you've been through a lot, but I'm going to fix this. I'm going to help you feel better. And the same with my pancreas or my ovaries, and I just start to personalize it, and it I know they're not like, none of them obtain a spirit with them, but it is part of me. And I really need to work on acknowledging the good that I am doing and the good my body is doing, and not necessarily focusing all the time on what I wish I could change, being mad or frustrated that I'm, because that's just a way for Satan to get us away from truth.
Yeah.
Is to beat us down. And he knows that that is one of my weaknesses, is just my thoughts about myself. And so learning to love myself in this way has been freeing. It's just been like, okay, there's still hope. We're not done yet, body.
Yeah.
We're
Absolutely. So speaking of that, what what I was super excited for you that last class because you'd only been doing this for 2.5 weeks, 2.5 to
Mhm.
3 weeks. Tell us some of your results. Wasn't the first part of Lisa's story amazing? Her journey is such a powerful reminder of what's possible when we start to understand how the body truly works. Our conversation went a little bit longer, and I didn't want you to miss a thing. So I've uploaded the full interview to my Gallbladder Gone Now What podcast resource page. The link is in the show notes. You'll also find PDF tools and guides there to make your healing journey a little bit easier. And remember, just because you've lost your gallbladder doesn't mean your whole family doesn't need this information too. These principles can bless everyone in your home. When you're ready to go deeper, I've also added access to the bread making class as a bonus when you purchase the DIY program or one-on-one coaching with me. All those links are right in the show notes. I can't wait to see you in the next episode where we will keep learning, healing, and growing together. Until then, happy digesting.
If this episode encouraged you or offered practical insight, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Leaving a review, subscribing, and sharing with even one friend helps more people discover this message, and Jami is truly grateful for your support. Be sure to check the show notes for free downloads, helpful resources, and a link to join Jami's private Facebook group for extra support and community that blends practical health with biblical truth. Just a reminder, Jami isn't a doctor, so always consult your healthcare provider before making changes to your health plan.